morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this coffee hour. This morning, we've got Alyson Keaton. She is the Assistant State Conservationist with NRCS. She has been with NRCS for 16 years and has worked in different parts of the country with NRCS. And this morning, she'll be talking about the Pathways program. So with that, I'll hand it over to Alyson.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. As I was saying, I am the Assistant State Conservationist for Management and Strategy for Colorado. And if you're not familiar with that term, I'm the person that oversees hiring, vehicles, purchasing, building operations, just about everything out there that can make the field offices work. So we're the behind the scenes administrative side, handling all that. And I thank you this morning for having me here to talk about pathways. I have several slides, and I did take this from a national presentation. I've tried to cut it down to be what is of value to you all, but I am going to go in depth a little bit with the program. So feel free to interrupt or put questions in the chat, and I will answer as we go along, or raise your hand. And yeah, please feel free to make this interactive. So the Pathways program was started in 2010 under an executive order. You may remember, if you've been around working with NRCS as a partner, we used to have a program called the SCEP, or the STEP program. And the Pathways program replaced that back in 2010. So now the Pathways program is actually has three components to it. We have the internship program, the recent graduate program, and the Presidential Management Fellows program. I'm going to talk today about the internship and recent graduate program. The PMF program is more high level and at headquarters and the department level on with their leadership initiative. So why do we want to promote Pathways? So the benefit to Pathways is it gives us students and recent graduates from universities to get started within the NRCS or federal workforce. We use it as a recruitment strategy, and we can build the talent and get individuals trained in what we need to have future employees. And it's also like a trial basis. We can try out a student and they can try out us before they officially come on board, and they can figure out early on if a career with NRCS is what they want. So the internship program, for students to be eligible to work for us in the Pathways internship program, they have to be enrolled full or half-time basis with a qualifying university, pursuing a degree in our job series that we hire. So this year we're looking, the normal engineers, soil conservationists, range management specialists, agronomists, foresters. Sometimes you might see soil scientists. Sometimes we go on my side of the shop and we do management analyst positions or public affairs positions. So there's a lot of opportunity for that. And when I say qualifying educational institution, it can be high school, 2- or 4-year colleges, graduate schools, post-secondary homeschooling. So it is a wide variety of education that students can have the opportunity to use to become employees. So the internship program, there's two types of appointments. Here within NRCS, we only use the career intern. So when we bring on an intern, we are hopeful that they're going to last for more than 1 year. And like I mentioned before, we're going to use them to train them up to fill our career gaps, to either current career gaps like we have right now, or to build our workforce as we have attrition with people retiring. We want their academic curriculum to be on the same track as our positions. We want the students to maintain a GPA of 2.5 or higher. And if they meet all the requirements, then we can convert them after they graduate to a full-time position. And then whatever when they apply to these positions, they have to apply through a job announcement on USA Jobs. And then that dictates what position they can be offered for their permanent job once they graduate. So we normally bring on students at the GS through, 2 through 4. And so the salaries of that are around $15 to $17 an hour. And we do advertise it as a yearly salary. So students will see on our job announcements that it's like $33,000 to $43,000 a year. However, students are rarely able to work full-time to earn that. So it's better to say that they would get paid around $15 to $17 an hour if they come on board with us. And if we bring someone on as a GS2, so that's someone who maybe applies during their freshman year of college and they only have a high school diploma, they can be promoted each summer they work to the 3 and 4 as they complete, a full year of college or 2 full years of college. So we ask that students work at least 640 hours for us to meet the requirements of the program and to be able to be converted into a full-time employee. So that's usually around 2 summers. If they hire on with us like the summer between their junior and senior year, if we can't make that 640 hours, but they can at least get 320 hours in, we have the opportunity to waive those additional hours. And usually if they have some internship experience, maybe working for a district or Earth Team volunteer hours that they can show us, if they have outstanding academic achievement, a 3.5 or higher, and they also had a great evaluation by their supervisor for that summer, then many times we can waive that additional 320 hours. If we can't waive it, or maybe sometimes students, if they live near a university, like if we have a Colorado State student who could maybe work in Larimer or Weld counties during the school year part-time, that's another way students can get hours to meet the requirements. So once a student graduates college, we can convert them we have 120 days after they get their degree to convert them to a full-time student. So to do that, we need them to get their degree and have all the hours, the required courses for their job series they're looking at, have their hours completed with us, and the IDP and AgLearn, make sure they've done all the trainings and all the things that were required while they were there. And we ask that they have a successful recommendation from their supervisor, and then we can submit their request and get them converted over to a full-time employee. And even in cases where here it says TOS, add 6 weeks. So that is a transfer station. So if we have a student who maybe was going to college outside of Colorado and needs to transfer here full-time, then we can pay for relocation for that student. And we can do it within Colorado too. Say if we had a student graduating from Colorado State and we're going to place them in an office in Southern Colorado, we can pay to relocate them to get them to their first duty station. When we bring an intern on board, if we've converted them to a full-time employee, they're going to come on as either a GS 5, 7, or 9 level employee. So to be a GS 5, you just have to have 4 years of college. You've got your degree. If you took a master's classes or got your master's, then you would be a GS 7 or GS 9 level. And I'll show you later on our current job announcements. And sometimes we even go up to a GS 11 for our STEM positions. So the engineering is usually that. Now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the Recent Graduates Program. So this program is a one-year developmental program where we hire individuals who have graduated within the past 2 years of college, or if they're a veteran, they have up to 6 years to apply if they went into military service after graduation. So this program, like I said, is developmental. It gives us a chance to hire brand new students and get them trained up to be a full-time employee. And we bring them on board as 5, 7, or 9s. And whenever we advertise for recent graduates, they have to be graduated within the 2 years or 6 years of a veteran. So that's the only group that these people are competing against to get a job. It's not open to anyone else in the public except students with these that meet these qualifications of graduation. So we can appoint them or hire them up to the GS9 level, unless it's a STEM, and then we can go up to the GS11 if they qualify. They do have to do some Ag Learn training as part of the program during their 1-year trial period. But that's about the only additional item that they have to do. Unlike the internship program where there's lots of there's hours and other stuff involved, recent graduates only have to do the 40 hours of training. They do have to, everybody has to sign an agreement with expectations. And then if they do that, then when they can convert after their 1 year, if they meet everything. So if they are fully successful in their job, they do get a mentor. That is someone that's outside of their chain of command that they can talk to, ask questions, ask for guidance. They have that person, and they have them to go to during their training period. And then if they meet everything, once they hit their 1-year appointment, we can convert them. We have a 120-day window again to convert them into full-time employees. And it's a non-competitive conversion. That's the nice thing about the Pathways programs, both internships and recent graduates. It's a non-competitive conversion, so they don't have to reapply. When they applied the first time, that's all they have to do. When I was talking about education requirements, I talk about accredited education. And so that is education above high school level at a U.S. college, university, or other educational institutions that are recognized by the U.S. Department of Education. We have hired people with foreign degrees. They just have to go through a few extra steps to prove that their education meets these requirements. And they have to their courses have to be verified on their transcripts. So what I will tell, a lot of times I tell students and current employees, anybody applying for us, if you have a course on your transcript that's hard to identify, keep a syllabus or a short description of the course and put that as an attachment to resumes when you're applying for jobs. I've especially seen this with the 454 series, our range management specialists. They have 3 categories of courses that they must meet to be eligible. And with some institutions right now, range management is not a popular term necessarily. So they're calling their degrees more wildlife-based, and that tricks up HR. So I always encourage anyone who's applying to keep your course syllabuses and information for future use when you go to apply within NRCS or any federal agency. I have not seen this in use, but we can also accept certificates as long as they come from a qualified post-secondary education institution and it's equivalent to 1 year of full-time study. Then we can accept a certificate also in lieu of degrees sometimes. So this is some general information that applies to both recent graduates and interns. We advertise for all our jobs on usajobs.gov. Veterans preference does apply to both of those. So if we do have a veteran who applies, they get priority opportunity to be selected before we go on to our non-veteran candidates. The students and recent graduates are not subject to time and grade restrictions. So normally within the federal government, you have to spend 1 year at a certain level before you can be promoted to the next level. That doesn't apply in this condition. So for instance, say we have an employee who comes back, or a student who comes back in May, and we promote them to the GS4, and they graduate with superior qualifications, and they've got some master's classes they've taken. We can go straight from that GS4 to a GS7 and skip the GS5. So that is a nice part for this program, is that we can do that. Also, their entire time served under the Pathways program counts to be career tenure. This is especially great for students because when they come on board, we hire them and they start in May or June. In most cases, in August or September, they'll go on leave without pay, and they'll go to school for the school year, and they won't come back to the following summer. Well, the entire time they're on leave without pay counts for their federal service. So if we have a student who works for 2 summers, they could have 2 to 3 years of tenure by the time we convert them to be a full-time employee. And they are also all eligible for health benefits, retirement, and those items. So it's a good process. A lot of times students don't realize it at the time, but looking back later in their career, when I hear that a lot right now with people when they're going to retire, you know, they're farther along in their career with their years than many of their counterparts, because they started with this program maybe when they were 18, 19 years old. We do have the authority to offer recruitment incentives with hard to fill positions. This starting last summer with the intern program, our national headquarters is doing incentives for all students as they hire on as part of the IRA program, IRA funding. It could be rescinded, so I don't want to guarantee that it's always going to be there, but the hope is that we can use that incentive to help these students pay for housing for the summer, because in many cases we're asking them to go work away from home or away from college, and they can't give up their housing at their college, so they may be having to pay for 2 housing locations during the summer. So the hope is this incentive will help them pay for that. And currently, if they work for us, they would get around $3,000 per summer for that incentive. And then once they convert, if we can keep IRA funding, they will get an additional incentive to convert of around $10,000. So the current program right now is very lucrative for students compared to the normal process. And when we do bring a student on board, like I mentioned earlier, they can get relocation expenses when they convert, but we don't pay relocation expenses when they first get hired. And that sometimes is a hindrance to students, especially for out-of-state students who maybe want to come to Colorado. They can't afford to move themselves up here for the summer. So we can't do that, but we can help them once they convert into a full-time employee. So this is a list of our current positions that are open. On the left is all the student training or student intern positions that we have. Most of them close tomorrow, unfortunately. So, but they did extend this. Engineering and the soil conservationists do not close till the 29th. So we have till Sunday for those students to apply. And we also have open right now the recent graduate positions, and that's the column on the right. So all those positions opened last week and are open till November 2nd. And I'd also point out that you'll see on the range management side, the most positions, the top 4, all have a full potential level of a GS9. So that's as high as that position can be promoted. If you look at the agronomist and engineering, those are the STEM positions, and those positions can go all up to a GS11 without having to apply again. So how can you all help us? The number one item is promote, promote, promote. If you know of any students or recent graduates that may be interested, please share with them our announcements. If you don't have them, work with your local offices, have students reach out to them. That's the best way that we can advertise. If you have the social media, NRCS is not in Facebook yet. There is a hope that we're getting closer. So if you could share our announcements on your websites, on your social media, that would be great. And then also, if you know of any opportunities to get involved with high schools or colleges that the local NRCS staff is not already involved with, let me know, let your local staff know, because that's where we're at right now. The pool of students going to school for environmental agriculture is getting smaller and smaller. And those of us wanting to hire these positions is getting larger because we have a lot more private industry also now. And the federal position isn't as lucrative and as great to have anymore as it used to be. So we really need to get out there and promote earlier, and with high school, even elementary kids, middle school kids. We need to get out there. We can justify easier working with the high schoolers, especially FFA and 4-H. But the sooner we can get them to know who NRCS is, the earlier, the better chance we have of getting them to become an agriculture environmental career path and become one of our employees. So with that, are there any questions?
Hey, everybody. This is Petra. Can you hear me?
We can.
All right. I don't have a question, but I thought I would chime in. Hi, everybody. I would chime in and say, if you are, in addition to reaching out to your local field office for promotional material with regard to these specific announcements, please feel free to reach out to me as well. We have advertisements for each of these announcements that I can send you in JPEG form or whatever form. We can discuss about what form works best for you in your area. If you're going to be sending those out, I can craft something, or I can send you something that has already been crafted. So I just wanted to extend that opportunity as well.
Thank you, Petra. I do see a question from Brianna. She asked, why does our local offices in Northwest Corner are not on these lists for job openings? And that's a very good question. For the internship program this year, we decided to go with let me go back here. I can get it to go back. We tried to get the students placed in locations that would have the best chance for their success. And that usually means putting them in a location, a higher population location. So we focused on Grand Junction, Colorado Springs, Fort Collins. Those were, I know there was, I can't remember if there was Longmont. That's what I'm trying to, I apologize. I cannot get this to go backwards. Here we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we put them, and Montrose was another location. Longmont, Fort Collins, Montrose, Colorado Springs. So that we purposely did that with students because we wanted to get them in locations that we thought they would be more successful. As for the recent graduate locations, we need people in those offices to help train these new students because they don't have the experience of at all working in this sector. So a lot of the decision was made on our advertising locations on where we already had staff in place. We are currently doing what you hear us maybe talk about bundle opportunities where we're hiring new people, and you will probably see those advertisements for the Northwest corner more so than you're going to see a recent graduate. Because people applying in these current opportunities right now probably have some job experience already, and maybe hopefully will be more successful in the Northwest area.
Great, thank you for that clarification, Allison. And looks like we had another question in the chat from Ashley. If we have students interested in participating but currently live in lower population cities, is there any way they can get into their local office?
If they could apply to this, if they don't meet this eligibility or this isn't something they're interested, there's always the Earth Team volunteer program. If they would be interested in that, that's a great opportunity for students to get some practice in the field to find out if this is really something they're interested in. And it's a great opportunity for, the district and field staff, local NRCS staff, to use them to help out. We always, as you guys have stated here already, we are in need of help across the state. So our team program is another area that we could have students apply to. Yeah, Mariah's comment there, to even Colorado Springs, they are hurting for staff. Cost of living is really hurting us right now in general. It is very expensive to live here in Colorado, unfortunately. It's an amazing place to be, but it is an expensive place, especially, Colorado Springs and the cities.
Well, and I think that's a good point. I was glad that you had highlighted it, Allison, that hours for like Earth Team volunteering or volunteering with the conservation district could count towards those internship hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so if districts already have kind of those relationships established, or if they do have someone already helping out in the office, this is kind of a good plug for them to push them along through these programs. So definitely good pathways there. And then Bayana has another question that says, our local college, Colorado Northwestern Community College, offers ag/natural resources. It'd be great to work with them and have students interested. Could it be looked at in the future?
Definitely. Petra has they're keeping a list for us of these universities, so we'll make sure to get that one added. And then when we communicate pathways opportunities and hopefully vice versa, we communicate to them pathways opportunities and they communicate back to us job fairs so that we can get connected. But we will definitely love information about them.
I was going to say exactly that. So for that comment, as well as the Pikes Peak Front Range comment, Allison, you and I were completely on the same page with our thinking. I was going to take those notes and add those to that running database that we have to do just that, where we send information and hope that also they reach back to us to let us know about their career fairs and other opportunities for us to showcase opportunities for employment. And I think while I'm sitting here thinking, when I send those advertisements out to the NRCS Gov Delivery topic admins, that might actually be something, Kayla, that we might want to have one of these sessions for, so that we can introduce that concept to the district manager so they can understand what's going on with Gov Delivery. I'm open to doing one of these coffee talks for that. I am thinking, Allison, and everybody here on the call, maybe I'll just send those advertisements and that promotional material directly to you folks too, in addition to sending it to the Gov Delivery topic admins.
We would be happy to pass that along to the district, so that would be great. Okay, thanks for that, Petra. Other questions while we have Allison here? Just while folks are maybe thinking about questions, another thing that I thought was neat that you were sharing, Allison, was that, oh, let's see. One thing that districts could kind of keep in mind too, I know that so many of the districts across the state have rolling kind of higher education scholarships that they offer. Always kind of keep tabs on those folks, on those students as they progress through their programs, when they get closer kind of towards the tail end of things, it may be a good opportunity to reach out and let them know about all of these pathways programs. The districts already have those connections by funding their higher education. And so this could just be a good opportunity to check in and be like, hey, how are things going on in your education? These opportunities are available. And the fact that the students, if they're in these programs, can start their pathway with NRCS, and when they take their unpaid leave, they can establish that tenure is like absolutely amazing at such a young age with the federal government. So such a neat perk. So that was interesting, and I'll definitely keep that in mind in my work and when I talk to students too. So other questions for Allison?
I have a question. This is Ashley with Bent Conservation District. Would there ever be any chance that you would move a student training type position open to some of us that are out in the middle of nowhere, so to speak? I feel like if some of the students in our area knew that this was something available to them, and they could see a career pathway rather than having to go to all the schooling and all of that kind of stuff, it would kind of put them on the right track. We don't have a lot of that kind of stuff around here, and then everybody goes off, and they are the ones who are more likely to stay in our area because they've lived here their entire lives. So how do you get it so that they would come back and also see that pathway? So I guess that's my thinking, as to, is there a chance that it would be brought out to some of us out in the low population areas?
We would definitely entertain that and love to do that. I wrote down that your area might have students, because that was a concern for us when we decided to make this advertisements this year, is we didn't know where the students were at that would be applying. So that's why we decided this year to make a focus effort on the larger locations. But in the future, we definitely, if we know there are people out there, we would happily, advertise in that area. If they come on board for 2 summers, there is the potential that the second summer we could reassign them to another location throughout the state. It's not guaranteed that they'll go back to the exact same location that they worked in the first round. I can't speak for Colorado yet, because this is a learning opportunity for all of us, but it's coming from other states. That's what we would do. We would move them around and ask that they try to work in all our areas. So to get a taste of all the areas within a state. So we very well could put one, that somebody that's in Colorado Springs this summer, next summer we could put them in Holyoke or Ray or, Simla, somewhere like that next summer. And that is another bonus. As long as we have this incentive that we can give them, they don't complain as much about having to go out into these locations, as long as they can find housing. And sometimes we have to get creative on helping them find housing in these smaller communities.
Great, thanks for that, Allison. while anyone's thinking of last minute questions before we kind of wrap up and thank Allison and Petra for their time today, do either one of you have the link handy that we can share with the districts again for those jobs? I know I have the email blast that you guys had sent out earlier, but if there's like a handy link, I can also include that in the follow-up email.
Yes, so I understand that 2 positions have been extended for the traditional pathway. The other ones are closing tomorrow. But we still, somebody still may apply. So I will definitely get that link out if you could push that out today. I am literally right now and at last night crafting the ones for the recent grads. They will have the links in there as well. So Kayla, I will make sure that you get that directly specific, but I will also I will be pushing that out, that communication and those advertisements out today. So yes, and yes.
Okay.
And you'll have my presentation here in just a couple minutes. So this page here has all the links also.
Ah, excellent. Thank you for that. Okay, last call for questions.
And if you think of questions later, this last slide has my contact information. I'm in the Active Directory. Feel free to reach out, give me a call. If you have ideas, we are always open to hearing what you guys are thinking out there. You have some great ideas and you help us with our path forward a lot of times. So please reach out.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Allison. Okay, well, just a little plug for our next coffee hour before we wrap up today. Our next one is going to be Wednesday, November 8th at 9 a.m. And let's see. We will be joined by Mia Gonzalez with DOLA, and she's going to be going over budgets. And so we look forward to seeing you all there. Big thank you to Allison and Petra for joining us today. And with that, we will go ahead and wrap up. So thanks, everyone.